Sure. Horatio.
Okay, it's about 9:01. We'll call a public safety meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mike Copine,
Here.
Marilyn Shippert.
Yes.
Keen Hudson.
Present.
Katie White. She said she would not be here this morning. Mike Zeman.
Here.
Jack Skrockstead.
Here.
What'd you say?
Okay. Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes from the last meeting? If so, and approved as read. Visitors, who do we have today? Amy, anything you'd like to comment on? Okay. Stacy.
Nothing.
All right.
Use your microphone, please.
What number are you, Shelley?
There. Oh, is it on?
No, you're got a little.
I typically don't need a microphone, no, so.
For Zoom, we do.
Okay, no, I get it. I apologize for not making the admin meetings, even on Zoom. I've been in the trainings. I typically try to come to them. Just a reminder, we're in our second year of the Motorola Flex project with public safety. Dixon Police and the Lee County Sheriff's Department and 911 ETSP are heavily involved in it together, as well as Dixon Fire Department. So that's going smoothly. This will be the second year of contractual financial obligations for the county and the city, which will be due in December, just as a friendly reminder. Yeah, it's 45 something. You guys all have that figure. And then a little bit of an update. The month of September is kind of our down month because we've been in training, May, June, July, admin training. All of October, we have training every week, Tuesday through Thursday, with the exception of the Columbus Day week, because Motorola has a conference down in Orlando, so they're not training us that week. So every week in October is training. There's of CAD training for the dispatchers in November, the first week and the second week, where they must attend all 3 days. So we're going to have some pretty tired people, whether it's patrol, jail, or dispatch, because if they're not in training, they're going to be doing callback or fillback. And we have a staging process the third week in November, and we are going live November 30th of 2021. So just a little bit of an update on that working cooperative effort to get all of public safety on the same platform. And then eventually we'd like to move the volunteer fire departments into it if they can afford it. That's the biggest issue, because it's kind of costly. So that's where we're at.
Anybody have any questions of Shelley over her information? Okay. Thanks, Shelley. Just a reminder, if you're on your cell phone, please mute it or turn it off if you would, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
First one.
Okay. Will Court. 1,281.76.
Yes. Thank you.
Different. Oh, 07.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, 007 is storage fund. Looks like the document's ready.
Paper recovery.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Okay. Document shredding, $160.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here. Sidewall. SPM again for 8805.
Yes.
SPM for $6.79.
Yes.
SPM $30.89.
Yes.
US Bank
Yes. Ready for total?
We're under 07.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
$421.68.
Thank you. Up here next, you got bundle for there. Okay.
We've got, okay, 065. Okay.
ready?
06.
Which,
065.
all the share.
Right.
Bill is gonna be told.
Okay. All right.
Mississippi 775 even.
Yes. $775.
Okay, thank you.
Ready, King?
Yes, sir.
Advanced Correctional Health Care, $6,418.17.
Yes.
Consolidated Correctional, $10,817.42.
Yes.
Jason Heller, $52.23.
Yes.
KSB, $997 even.
Yes.
K&M Tire, $270.62.
Yes.
Midwest Radar, $855 even.
Yes.
Dustin Seeley, $30 even.
Yes.
Tri-River Police Training Region, $750 even.
Yes.
Wex Bank, $8,264.66.
Yes. Ready for total?
Go ahead.
$28,455.10.
Thank you. That's all.
This is eight.
Get done with this, Sheriff?
Yes,
Okay, I've got EMA. Wex for gasoline, $265.34. Ace Hardware Supplies, $61.37. US Bank, equipment and maintenance, $642.40. Contractual services, SPM copier maintenance, $71. Dixon Paint, $1,490.06 for window treatments. We got for window treatments. For window treatments, doesn't say what kind, but that's okay. Next one is travel expense reimbursement for Kevin Lally, $92.95.
Mike, when you're ready. $2,623.12. 262312. 2623.12. Thank you.
And then we also have the corners.
US Bank, $77.05.
And that's the total on that account,
Okay.
which is corners, and then we've still got corners on the general one coming here. This corners county general.
Okay.
001. Answering innovations for the telephone, $112.09. City of Peoria professional fees, $267. Mark Peters, Dr. Mark Peters, professional fees, $830. NMS professional fees, $203. That looks like it. Oh, I'm sorry, one more. Pat Fox professional fees, $160.
Total of $1,572.09. 1572.3. Thank you. Okay. Carly, you got your stuff there?
I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh, cool.
OPW.
SBM, $268.02.
Yeah.
SBM, $90.87.
Yes.
US Bank, $280.24.
Yes. Okay. Ready for total?
Go ahead.
$639.13.
Thank you.
Craig, $300.
Yes.
Mississippi, $379.70.
Yes.
Mississippi, 450.
Yes.
Redwood Toxicology, $25.68.
Yes.
SBM, $1,726.80.
Yes.
Verizon Wireless, $84.58.
Yes. Ready for total?
Go ahead.
2,966.76.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is State's Attorney County General Fund.
Printing, $67 even. Leaf for $495.76. Roy Middleton, $44. Sauk Valley Media, $115.10. SBM, $2,899 even. SBM, 262.80. US Bank, 248. US Bank, $54 even. Verizon Wireless, $98.64. West, $2,202.40.
For a total of $6,486.70.
Thank you.
$6,486.70.
right? Pitney Bowes, $47.31.
Yeah.
Out of county general.
Go ahead. $47.
Drug court 080 account. $73. US Bank, $73.47. Redwood Toxicology, $156.07.
Yes. Go ahead. $229.50. Thank you.
Two pages. Account 017. Jack Scrogstead, $740. Yes. US Bank, $1,100 even, $1,100.
Yes.
SBM, $1,348.30. Road Ranger, $122.79.
Yes.
US Bank Card, $1,136.50.
Yes.
US Bank Card, $3,313.80.
Yes.
Stacy Rosales, $63.11.
Yes.
Evan Grady, $34.80.
Yes.
Verizon Wireless, $211.45.
Yes.
Quill, $716.16.
Yes.
Redwood Toxicology, $558.91.
Yes.
Ready for total?
This under services fund, Keith.
017.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
$9,345.82.
Thank you.
It's just.
Yes, sir. Say.
Mississippi Center's 309.39. SPM $49. $3,390. That's for Dixon and Deason. I'm assuming this is the judges.
Yes,
Stenograph, $2,067. Lee Springs, $100.75.
that last one, Jack.
Stenograph, I think that's
Yeah, okay, but the amount, 267,
$2,067 even.
okay. Isn't quite sure about the even.
You got the Hinkley Springs.
Yeah.
US Bank, $1,519.41.
It's broken apart here with three things, 67,
I got it.
6780,
215.41 and 1,236.20.
yes.
My quick math.
Okay.
Looks like that's pretty.
That-
This is the one.
That's still part of that one, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. West Payment Center, $736.05. Mississippi Center's $375. Language Line, $20.68.
Okay, that should be the last one. For a total of 8,567.28. 8,567.28.
Thank you.
That I've got in this packet. And I don't know what fund that is.
You got anything under library fund?
Probably 004.
Yes.
West Payment Center, $760.
And that's the total, $760.
Okay, thank you. You got any claims? Okay, entertain a motion to approve claims as submitted.
I'll make that motion to approve claims.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. sign.
Abstain.
We didn't have any from public defender.
No. Okay, continuing on. Mr. Boncher, anything else? Mr. Boncher's gone. Okay. Bypass the quarterly update on fine collection. Sheriff, anything new on the dangerous or abandoned properties?
No,
Okay. Okay, we have nothing under old business to go over. New business, I will turn it over to you, Sheriff, the first one.
first discussion, just to let you know, yesterday, those of you that were around our area experienced some hail. And so the building got hit and every car in the parking lot has severe hail damage to include broken windshields, and it was a mess. So we're going to get a bunch of estimates today on the squads that were sitting on the outside. Had maintenance look at the roof. Thankfully, we had some protection for the rooftop units for storms like this, and the roof came through with flying colors. So far, no damage to the building that we can see, but a lot of damage to vehicles. So we'll kind of update you on that as time goes on.
I'm anticipating that if all the cars got hit, are we going to need more than one person bidding on that? Because you're gonna talk a considerable amount of damage. I'm just asking for.
Yeah, every one of them are extremely busy. There was 20 waiting at Dixon Auto Body, and we've been having pretty good luck at Sauk Valley Collision over there by Wendy's. So that's where I'm sending most of the squads now. But yeah, we'll likely get a couple bids for each one, which will take some time to get done. But they've done pretty good work, and they've been very reasonable over the past few
I'm
months.
sure there's a long line everywhere.
What's the next one on the agenda? I have replacement hires on there, Mike. I don't have the agenda in front of me. Okay, so we got two. One, we just had a correctional deputy resign and go on to a different department about 3 days ago. So we're looking for a replacement hire for that correctional deputy, and anticipating the retirement of Shane Miller in June of next year. We have a candidate that's interested. That's a current police officer out of state. And we're working through the process of lateral transfer and also a reciprocal agreement with ILETSB, our training board, which will allow him to come into our state and not have to go through the formal academy. And he will take some online courses totaling about 100 hours and firearms recertification for Illinois, and he'll be able to become a police officer in Illinois. So we're looking at the end of October for that replacement hire for Shane. That's going to give me an opportunity to get him through 100 hours of academy training, firearms, through an FTO program, and also start getting someone transitioned into Sergeant Miller's spot in the Detective Bureau, which will take some time.
This new person will be a detective then, replacing Shane?
No, this new person will be a patrol deputy. We'll be hiring from or transferring from within Detective Miller.
Anybody else have any questions on the topic so far?
Are you still working off your list that you recently started with for the replacement for that CO?
Yes, but unfortunately, we're down to the last one.
Okay.
Two failed psych, and one was no longer interested. So yeah, our list is going to be gone here pretty quick.
We'll have to
Let's start the hiring process.
retest
all over.
again.
Your correction officer, you said they were reassigned to a different, still within the county?
No, went to another police department
Okay.
outside of.
So that makes you guys short again in the jail, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we've always been
Oh,
short,
yeah,
but
just
now with this
reiterating.
on, and then we have another one going in for surgery, potentially at the end of this month, early next month. They'll be gone for about 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah, it's not good. What's the next one on there?
I'm just frustrated. That's all.
Where are we at on numbers for the correct?
As far as inmates, corrections deputies,
We never reach a low on the inmates. Yes, as far as correctional officers, how many?
well, we're down to 11 now with the one gone, and we'll be down to 10 here pretty quick when the other one goes in for surgery. So, and I need 3 per shift, so that's a total of minimum of 12. And that's if nobody takes any days off. So we're incurring overtime every day. That's every day and every shift.
Sheriff, on some of the data that you had submitted before or earlier on in requests being made, I think it was stated in the information that it took 5.5 to 6 road people. How many road people do we have? Just road people, not admin or supervisor.
15. We will have 15 when the new one graduates from the academy at the end of this month. We'll have 15 out there on the road. That includes sergeants.
Graduation should be coming up.
Yes, it should be done in about 3 weeks, which would be nice.
So currently we have 14, if you're looking for this new guy.
know where on the agenda, if the next one is the budget. Is that on your next on your agenda there, Mike?
The next thing that I had is UTV.
Okay, I'll leave that for last and I'll just talk briefly about the budget. I go in tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock for a special finance meeting, third meeting we had for budget hearings for the sheriff's office. And so to let this committee know, we've kind of modified our request slightly. We're requesting, putting back in the original request for a telecommunicator. As we work through this process, we're trying to utilize the float flex positions as best as possible. And we found that this is about the only strategy that work absent fully staffing the sheriff's office and dispatch. So by using the float position, at least with the dispatchers, we'll have one on each side, if you will. Right now, we only have one flex position in dispatch. This will provide us with two. I'm also modifying the request so that this year, in addition to that one dispatcher, I'll be asking for 2 correctional officers because that's where we're getting hit the hardest, and reducing it down to 1 in the law enforcement division. Anticipating that, not anticipating, but also spreading my request out to 2 fiscal years, or next fiscal year 23, asking for 2 more in the law enforcement division rather than asking for all at once. It's still a very conservative request based on the staffing study that you just mentioned, Mike. This will be a total of 6 new hires, where the staffing study is recommending anywhere from 12 to 18 that we should have to adequately staff the sheriff's office the way we operate now. So, but spreading this out over 2 fiscal years, I think is a good way to go from a fiscal standpoint. I think hitting the hardest hit areas right now, providing Shelley another dispatcher and also getting corrections with at least 2 flex positions, considering what we've gone through with them, will help kind of get us through as best we can and begin to start reducing some overtime and see where we go from there.
In your preparation of moving on over the next couple of years, is there anything there that is incorporated in that same fashion for dispatch? If the personnel covering the road is going to increase yearly or whatever, is there anything in consideration there for an increase in the 911 area?
Ideally, it'd be nice to have an additional person, flex, float, whatever you want to call them, for each shift rather than in each, I guess, day. So if you will, we have 4 shifts: corrections, dispatch, and the road, all work 12-hour shifts. So if we had a flexible or float position for each shift, day shift, night shift, and on the other side, day shift, night shift, now you've got that extra person. So if anybody wants to take any time off, they can, and you've got somebody to fill that position without incurring overtime. So that's the best strategy that we've used so far. So ideally, yeah, to get Shelley 4, get corrections 4, law enforcement division 4, then we'd have everything that we needed as far as that extra float position to accommodate or alleviate, I should say, overtime, and then allow these folks to have their time off. That's really the critical part of this. You know, finances is something that obviously you have to be concerned with long term. What I have to be concerned with is complacency and seeing what's happened to these folks. I mean, we had, I think I've given the example before when I was running through some of the stats in the last 2 years, the way these shifts work, deputy dispatchers should have 52 weekends off. Every other weekend, you get a weekend off on your 12-hour shifts. So in a 2-year period of time, you should have 52 weekends off. One deputy had 14, one had 19 in the last staff study they did. So they're not getting their time off, not even their regular time off, let alone vacation time. So we've got to get these people some rest somehow, some way. And it can't go below minimum staffing in any of those areas. We're already down to 3 in the jail, and that's 1 in the mezzanine and 2 on the floor. And you know the staff assaults we had last year. And then on the road, we have 2 in the day shift, which you obviously know we've got large geography to cover. And response time is extended by only having 2 out there. And we've only been running with 3 at night. Hope to get 4 once we get these guys out of the academy. So, and that's bare minimum. So that means I have to have extras on each of those shifts when people leave. So
Anybody have any questions for the sheriff on the staffing issues we just discussed? I do have a concern that, and I'm going to bring a topic up here in just a second in correlation to where we're at on the current discussion, okay? But I have a concern that we do our utmost to support you, the request for at least one more dispatch. And my concern as far as safety not only goes for your people, corrections, road people, it's the public. As far as what they may need. I think probably the last major disaster we had was a tornado that we had down.
Even here,
I'd like to put it a different way, but I'm going to be polite and not get myself in trouble again like I have, but it was a mess. It was handled fantastic. But if we keep them increasing our personnel on one side and don't try to balance it on the other, we're going to run into problems getting our people out there on the scene help, because our dispatchers are definitely the ones that are fielding the 911 calls and the dispatchers and trying to get help to the individuals that are out there in different areas. So I have a strong belief in supporting you now.
well, I appreciate that, Mike. And there's been several others besides Woodhaven that we could talk about all day long. Last year, we had on Fridays, and the dispatchers were calling not just local area agencies, but we're doing ILEAS call outs. We're getting EMA people from all over the place, ISP. So they're doing a good job of helping us coordinate and getting as many resources as we could there. Because at one point in time, we probably had maybe 8 police departments working in our area with a command post set up in our sheriff's office. We just kept it set up for about 3 or 4 weeks till we got all the bad guys. But nonetheless, that's the kind of stuff that crops up that you can't really plan for, and you need the personnel sometimes at a moment's notice. And so everybody did a great job coming together, and we always will. And that's the nice thing about working in this business as long as I have. We overcome a lot of obstacles and persevere regardless of, some of the financial or fiscal challenges that we've had. But I've seen in the faces of everybody, dispatch, corrections, and law enforcement over the last couple of years, it's wearing on them, and they can't continue to do it. And I'm worried about complacency and something bad happening if they're not sharp when they're out there.
Anybody on the committee have any questions regarding hiring another dispatcher and what's involved in it? I mean, everybody understands.
Are they also on 12-hour shifts?
Correct.
Everybody?
Yes.
When you hire somebody, is there concern about the 12-hour shift? About the pay, or about if you offered them a job and they turned it down, what would they say? Why did you turn it down?
There is some challenges in the corrections or patrol division with regards to salary. Now, that changed a little bit during the recent negotiations. It's made us a little bit more competitive, but there are a couple of Collier County agencies that pay a little bit more. Dispatch is, I don't know that anybody's ever not taken a job because of pay. It's decent. I'm going to say it's the highest or lowest. I think it's a decent pay there. And the 12-hour shifts was here before I got here, and that was voted in a long time ago, and the employees actually wanted it. It wasn't something that was mandated. And actually, for the size of agency that we have, it's probably the best option that we got to keep people working 24 hours a day. When I was with ISP, we tried a lot of different shifts, and right now they don't have any coverage from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. because they went to 10-hour shifts, and they're blanking up 4 counties for 4 hours. And they're looking back at that and trying to figure something out. But when they went to 10-hour shifts, that doesn't accommodate 24-hour coverage, especially with their lack of personnel. So
The other neighboring counties go 12-hour shift.
many of them do. Yeah, many of them do. I'd say that has become more predominant, especially with county sheriff's offices. And I know Dixon PD runs that way as well. So
When they work a 12-hour shift, it equates to an 84-hour bi-week work week, but they're paid on an 80-hour scale.
Okay.
And in a way, we eat that 4 hours. Sorry, not we, they eat that 4 hours. some counties, some places, they pay an extra 4 hours of whatever. But in order to keep that shift, they have always just eat that 4 hours. And anything over that 84 hours is that overtime. If you're as a 12-hour employee shift, then if you're an 8-hour employee, detectives, anyone in that particular spot, anything over 80 hours is overtime for them. So just to kind of give you a little idea on
And I
that
don't know
12
if-
hours, what's all about, but
You mentioned it, or he mentioned it. If you have an opening and you have to fill it with overtime, that's an 18-hour day. Right?
No, if we have an opening, it'll be they'll work the 12-hour shift.
Now, if you have a guy calling sick or something to cover it, the one guy stays over and another.
they have done
It's,
that.
it's a possibility. We can work it out that way. Yeah. Or somebody takes the full shift, or we have split the shifts in half too, 6 and 6. So.
Isn't the guy could be on duty for 24 hours, right?
No,
Let them be on duty that long absent, some extenuating emergencies. Yeah. Can't say I haven't, but we rarely try to do that.
Anything further?
I think we had a motion last month in support of the sheriff. And I don't know that redoing it would, reinforce, it's up to the finance committee now.
No, I just appreciate that. I just wanted to discuss with you kind of the, modification of the request. And that way, as a committee and so 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we'll meet and see what happens after that.
I'm going to reapproach it and entertain. Do you have anything? I would entertain a motion that the Public Safety Committee make a recommendation that the Finance Committee reconsider and fund the hiring. I'd like to ask for about 3, if I can, for an additional dispatcher for 911. We okay? Okay, everybody under,
Specifically for a telecommunicator.
for a telecommunicator, correct? I would entertain a motion that we send a request. Am I going okay? Or a recommendation, I'm sorry, to hire another 911 dispatcher or telecommunicator. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Correctional officers.
I'm not,
This motion is.
this, my direction is for a telecommunicator, and I'm not trying to, distract from the sheriff's. I mean, he has already made some of those requests. We're kind of readdressing it, as Marilyn said, but I think that it's a critical issue that we need to readdress. That's why I'm asking for the motion and to move on with it, to send a request or recommendation that the Finance Committee hire a 911 dispatcher. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mike Copine,
Yes.
Marilyn Shippert.
Yes,
Gene Hudson,
Yes.
White's not here. Mike Zeman,
Yes.
Jack Skrockstead.
Yes.
I just left UTV on there, Mike. I didn't know if there was any discussions that we needed to have regarding that. The thoughts were, like, gut tells me it's probably going to pass next Thursday in some fashion, at least the ordinance part of it, but there's a lot of work to do on the enforcement end of this, as far as getting permits, setting up inspections and things of that nature. So please tell your constituents that are going to be very excited about this, that it's not going to happen Friday after the county board meeting. I guarantee you that. We have to get the permits, first of all, find out what kind of vendors are out there and what style and color and all kinds of things, and figure out inspection sites and get the proper database up and running so that we can start bringing people in. We're organized, and it's try to make it a one-stop shop so we can answer all their questions while they're there. We can get everybody in and out in a timely manner and get them permitted and off the bill. But there's also a fee structure that the board has to take a look at to see how they want to handle that as far as it is an annual fee. Is there a renewal fee? You want to make it a 2-year fee? What do you want to do for out-of-county non-residents of Lee County, out of state? Those types of things have to be answered before we get to.
So actually, as far as the ordinance itself, we're in a pending status until we narrow all of this information down.
Well, I mean, your ordinance, that's going to be a good question for Charlie, could maybe be passed as is, but as far as the actual internal workings of how this is going to happen, that's going to take a while to get going. So I just caution you that when you're talking to folks that are interested in this, it's not going to happen.
So don't go out and buy a new TV right away is what you're saying.
Go ahead and buy one
Just can't drive it on the county roads.
if you can find one. Yeah, it's unfortunate, right?
Can I ask Shelley a question? Does Motorola Flex have in their system registration for something that he's talking about built inside that? Do you know of?
I can't answer that right now.
Okay. Because looking at it, looked like it was big enough, it could incorporate something like that. What's that? Well, I was there during the initial, introduction of it, so to speak, but
That's something I'll actually make note of that now as far as personal.
yeah. Otherwise, we'll have to build a.
We have like a spreadsheet that we'll go through.
Right. Mhm. Yeah, an Excel spreadsheet is a cheap way of doing it, but you really can't,
We'll have to put it
you can't
together.
generate like labels and stuff like that as easily, mailing labels or whatever, so. Sure, yeah.
Do we sort of have the cart before the horse here? Should we hold off on passing this ordinance until you guys are ready to implement all these things?
Oh, that would be my recommendation, because I got a feeling I'm going to have about 50 people come to the office wanting to get their sticker. We're not going to have it. So, but I mean, if you get the word out the right way and say, hey, and we'll implement this, the ordinance is passed this month, but it will not be implemented until December 4th, whatever.
I'm sure it's gonna pass. But, I have questions about the fact that you're not ready to implement it. Whether we should actually vote on it, because people are gonna get the wrong impression.
Part of the reason we didn't, Marilyn, I just got wind of this when you started talking about it, and all these things started my mind of what you need to do to make this work properly. But you don't want to spend a lot of money on that either until you know that the board's going to pass it.
True.
So it's kind of one of those things where we're going to need a couple months, I know, to get this up and running the right way, because I want to be organized when people start coming in.
What's the problem?
So it needs to be written in the ordinance that it is effective date December 1 or January 1 or something like that, not just word of mouth, but actually in the ordinance.
What do you think, Charlie?
Charlie likes that idea. Yeah, I think an effective date, maybe we can add that in there, effective date,
Yeah.
on this date, part of that ordinance. What time? How long did it take us to put together everything? 2 months?
Oh, Chairman Olson wanted to get an ad hoc committee together to talk about some of these questions that I had. And so hopefully that'll give them time to get that committee up and running and see if they can develop some answers.
So if we would put an effective date in it, what is a realistic date
December 1?
Number one, January 1. I mean, if you want to do a calendar year thing, that would make it easier.
Give us plenty of
It really
time.
doesn't matter. There's so many things that I'm thinking of right now that even if you pass the ordinance, how are you going to pass it with the fee structure? What does Maryland want? What does Mike want? What's Keen want? Do you want $100 for the first year and $50 renewal? Do you want a 2-year fee? You know, it's up to you. And remember that when the first vendor I looked at for these stickers, if I get 500 stickers, it's going to cost us, I don't know, somewhere around $800. So I'm thinking 500 is logical to start out with, because Dixon's already registered 215 some odd UTVs. We might as well at least double that, and maybe even more. So we're going to look at, if we get new stickers every year, you're looking at almost $1,000 every year that you're going to spend just on stickers.
So if someone has a UTV that's registered in Dixon, will they have to register in Lee County then also?
From what I'm gathering, if the municipalities come together, there'll be one Lee County UTV permit to be able to ride in all the municipalities and county roads. And then those township roads where the township boards vote on it. So it'll be one permit for all those areas, as long as the municipalities agree to it. Now, that's something that I know that you talked about, having county board members go out and talk to the municipalities and the townships to see if they wanted to jump on board with the ordinance. If they do, that'd make it much simpler, certainly, but then you'd have to share the costs with those municipalities, the permit fees, I think, in some fashion.
That was a question I was gonna ask, is how are you gonna do this registration fee thing? Because all the municipalities will want to share of it one way or the other, I would
I think
think.
they'll want maybe a percentage for to ride through their villages or towns, but again, it's part of the discussion.
To go back to the Dixon municipality that they have theirs right now, the way that the ordinance is written that you had tabled last month, the county would be honoring any permit that Dixon has at this point for a year.
Charlie, what do we do as far as other communities in the county? I don't know if Amboy licenses them or permits them. I know Franklin Grove has a permit for their
Papa does,
UTVs.
and they inspect. When I put my ATV away in November, I'm not gonna get it out till March. You wouldn't do inspections until people like me, a massive amount of people, take them out of storage. If we have to, either you come to us or we come to you for the inspection and all that. Probably nobody would do it till the end of winter anyway. So you might have time to set up your structure, as it were, and get the fee thing straightened out. So we probably shouldn't pass it as it's being brought to us. Yeah,
For an effective date.
well, that you could do the effective.
I think with the sheriff's comments about not wanting to spend the money until we know it's a go, I think we're all pretty sure it's gonna be a go, but I think putting the effective date in would solve that problem.
Give them plenty of time to get things. It's a go. Now it's just a matter of getting the things rolling. Charlie, would we need to send this to executive to add the effective date so we could have it ready to go?
So what you'd need to do is send whatever recommendations you have along for that effective date to the executive. Since it's already been tabled for the full board, whatever you would decide to do at the full board in those modifications or amendments to the ordinance, you'd either have to table it again after untabling it, and then either send it back to committee or have it held over, or approve it with the amendments the next month, because it has to hold over again.
Since we're looking at a delay anyway, I don't think holding it.
Follow that clear as mud.
Yeah.
Confused by now. The only thing I got out of that is some table was gonna get turned over.
Well, I think we should probably send an effective date of January 1. And then, again, we're still having to wait anyways until January 1 to have it going. So I don't think it'll make a difference, but it would be up to the executive and then up to the full board later this next Thursday to make that decision. As a full body to decide on this, especially with the amendment.
Yeah, so no matter what you're deciding to do, if you are going to make that amendment at the full board level, you're going to hold it over again until October. Or if you're going to have it effective anyway and you want to send it back to committee, you can do it that way too. In any event, if you're making the amendment, you're not going to be able to vote on the change to that ordinance this month.
And I don't see that as a problem if it isn't effective till January 1 anyway.
I think we ought to decide or wait and see what we're gonna do with this ordinance per se, if there's gonna be any amendments to it by chance. And then, once it's cleared, put an effective date on it. After that date, it gives everybody time, the sheriff's department, organize their things, whatever the county needs to do. I mean, they can update the effect. I mean, maybe this won't go through until, we'll say, November, the sheriff's department's ready to go. Then make our effective date, January 1. Those people are gonna be ready to go anytime, but I think this way you're not putting, it gives time, if there's gonna be any amendments to this ordinance before it's actually voted on by the complete board. It also gives all entities an opportunity in case they run into glitches here. Maybe the sheriff's department, like he says, these people are all over this country going to UTVs. What if there's a backlog and they cannot get the registration stickers and that? Now you're gonna have concerns with the public. They're the ones that are gonna be hit with the calls, it's everybody's fault. That's my feelings, is wait to see if there's gonna be any amendments to the ordinance. If not, that's fine, but we can always put the effective date after the date this thing is accepted and voted on and passed. Whether we do it today or wait until even more in November. Those people are ready to go. We know that.
So
I just want to think too, of the possibility of the sheriff's department and county personnel being called on issues. They don't honestly understand what we're doing here per se, but this way, if you just say, do the different facts here, it's not stopped, it's gonna go, but we need time to get all the research done on this.
So are you suggesting
Do it
pass it
right.
without an effective date in it?
No, not at all. I think we should, yes, if they're gonna pass it, yes, pass it and then throw an effective date.
I don't think you can, I think you have to have the effective date on when it's
Well,
passed.
then if it was passed in November and then effective, added into the November.
Without the effective date on there, it basically becomes law, an ordinance, the date it's signed.
Okay, well, we can add it in at the day of the passing of the vote, put it into that, we know it's going like an updated version, effective such and such a date.
But the way I'm understanding is we put that effective date in, that's an amendment and it requires it being held over a month. So why not put the effective date of January 1, or if the sheriff thinks he needs more time, whatever. But with what Mike says, people aren't going to get it out. There's out till spring, maybe make the effective date March 1. Whatever, but I think the effective date needs to be in there when we pass it.
I do
That's
agree
the-
with that.
that's
I
the
will agree with
amendment.
that, yes.
So, we're not going to probably be voting on this till October, November.
Yeah.
So how do we get it in front of the full board to make that recommendation for the amendment?
For this
Right.
committee, I think what you do is you're making a recommendation to the executive committee with whatever changes you want to have on there, and then they can address it at executive. From there, executive, it's already going to be on the full board anyway.
Okay.
Executive can make whatever decisions they want at that point. and
We're just
then-
making that recommendation to them.
Correct. Yep.
So if I was to make a motion to put an effective date to send this to executive committee to have an effective date for the UTV ordinance for January 1st, 2022, so that the sheriff can time for the sheriff to
Well, it's not
put the
just-
rules into it.
Yeah, I just want to make, the reason I brought this up is we're just the enforcement arm of this. There's a lot of work the board has to do yet
I
and decide
agree.
on
I agree.
before this ordinance should become effective. And I just gave you a few examples of some things that need to be cleaned up in the ordinance or addressed anyway. And so that's for you to do so that I know what we're enforcing and when we start it, so I can start my process and be very organized when folks come in, because as soon as this gets passed, whatever that effective date is, I can guarantee I'm gonna have somebody waiting at the door at 7 a.m. wanting to get inspected and get their sticker.
Yeah, and I think to Sheriff's point too, one of the, I'll say dreams when this came up and what we we're gonna do is have a centralized location for anybody that wants to get a UTV permit for the county, whether it be Amboy, Franklin Grove, Dixon, whatever it may be. That way, the funds that come in through there would be equally dispersed, as he was talking about, with the percentages to whatever community it should be going to. I don't think those logistics have been thought out yet. Again, we're just talking about a county ordinance just for the unincorporated counties right now. But if we are going to incorporate the other ones into it and get agreements with those other municipalities, that's something that has to be thought out and fleshed out too.
Sheriff, would you be comfortable if the ad hoc committee would be assigned to do the research on this?
Yeah, I know Chairman Olson was going to form one. I talked to him last week, I believe.
It's already been
And
formed.
so he's going
It's already
to,
been formed. They're gonna get together with John. My opinion ought to be tabled again.
I concur.
And because, like Charlie said,
Questions here.
every time you change it, if you don't have a fee schedule in it, that changes the ordinance. And same with the date. I mean, I think that the ad hoc committee should meet with John and get these 4, 5, 6 items down, put in the ordinance, and then you pass it with a still an effective date of January 1st or whatever, to give John time to get his ducks in a row for the permits and all this other stuff. Because if you go into it and it's not done right, it's gonna make us look kind of stupid for starters, and it will mess him up secondary.
I would make a motion that we recommend to executive committee that this UTV ordinance be tabled until we can work out some of these other details with the ad hoc committee, and include an effective date that is appropriate when we know all these things have been sorted out. You know, maybe it's, I hope it could be by January 1, but maybe March 1, you know, we'll see. But I'd make a motion that we recommend to executive that this be tabled until those details are worked out, including an effective date in the details.
I would. Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, there's no reason to do it quick. just
I'll second that
have
motion.
to do it all over.
Jack's motion, there was no second, so that just kind of,
Yeah,
so we're working on it.
Without having to have Marilyn go through everything that she just said again.
Becky's got it all.
We do have a second. Does anybody have any questions on it at all? All right,
Let the committee do its work.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
It's just a recommendation to executive.
Yeah.
That's all.
You okay, Becky? You got enough definition to,
And Mike, you're an executive too. You can help explain all that too when you go.
say that again.
You're an executive, so you'll be able to help explain a little bit more what we talked about today. Right.
Hopefully. I'll just play the recording back.
So you'll be there.
Make
John,
my
you heard our
notes.
discussion. You'll be an executive, so.
Okay, I think anybody have any other questions at all? Sheriff?
One thing
or we-
on the UTV thing, Marilyn. Street, transportation has never been involved in this. Like Dave says,
Yeah.
we should be in on this, right? As far as roads and,
We mentioned it was mentioned a couple months ago, but, you know, he was really not,
what if it comes to the point where there's gotta be signage, like a snowmobile route, only a UTV route,
and I think that was his hangup.
like on every stop sign, a little UTV thing. Certainly, yeah, he didn't think
Maybe that ad hoc committee can start.
can work on.
Yeah, because I don't think he wanted to have to put up additional signage and
Right,
stuff.
right.
So my understanding under this ordinance that, is there gonna be an actually trail, or they are gonna be entitled to drive and operate on any county road?
I don't think there was a specific trail.
They're gonna be able to travel on, yeah,
County roads and township roads that have been approved.
right, that's what I mean, but in other words, but there's not a true trail. Okay.
No.
Because that's
They
what,
had, they had planned. one.
Well, that's what I thought
But I think
initially when
they
these fellas
expanded
started
on
this a few years ago, they wanted a trail.
yeah, but I
Uh,
think that's what Dave Anderson was opposed to, because then he would need all the signage for that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Can I get a copy of that? Jen?
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm not
no, no, no.
reading well this morning.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit. And by CC, you're not,
Certainly.
but I just want to make sure that. Did you have anything that you needed to bring up or anything? I didn't ask anybody at all, Stacy or. Because I figured we'd have heard it with visitor comments and then highlighted on it afterwards. So I don't want to eliminate anybody.
Good. We usually do, so. No big deal.
Thank you. I pro tem.
There you go.
Parliamentary.
If there's no further questions or discussion.
I do.
Okay, I'm sorry.
On under the, I still have an opposition to this ordinance as far as allowing eye goggles instead of windshield and windshield wipers. I just have a safety concern here. We're not talking, once again, going 30 miles an hour like in the city of Dixon, and that's been used as an example. We're talking 55 miles an hour people going out there on these roads. And I've looked at them and the structure's there, but they're off-road built. I don't have a problem being on the roadway, but I think they gotta be structurally, if they're going to be, they should have the proper equipment. I know it's brought up, motorcycles, we're talking two complete different things. Motorcycles were built to be on the roadway and licensed in this state. UTVs were strictly built exclusively for off-the-road use. If you're gonna bring them on the road, all I think we should do is they should comply with the normal equipment requirements of the state of Illinois, and that's windshield and windshield clearing devices, windshield wiper blades. I don't think it's that much to ask. These people have worked hard on this, and I think the county board has worked hard on this. But I think to drop down, so in lieu of windshield, you wear eye protection. I'm not gonna get into the people that operate on stuff that have been hit with stuff. But my concern is there, stuff coming in through there. We have a high deer population outside in this county, everybody knows. And there's not much there for protections, my concern.
I think, you need to share those concerns with this ad hoc committee that's reworking this ordinance.
I'm understanding of what Mr. Hudson is saying. I've been on or in practically any type of UTV, ATV, motorcycle. I know what it's like to get hit in the forehead and exorbitant amount of speed with a large bug without a windshield. I think there's potential there if a person is just wearing goggles, if you pass a larger vehicle on the roadway at any speed level, the wind blast that you get can rip goggles right off of your face. Helmets are there for an additional purpose. Some of them have the face shields built in, some of them don't have face shields. So they're going to wear goggles, or they're going to wear helmets. I think it's an element that should be considered and be addressed, as Marilyn said, by the ad hoc committee. I think we just need to take some notes and pass that on to an ad hoc committee. So I've picked people up off of any different kind of all-terrain vehicle that's out there. And I've seen the results. I know what the results are. And to have consideration for that safety aspect, I think is an important element. So.
I agree, and I think that's probably part of mine over the years, just off the road vehicles that have rolled. I mean, it happens, not at 55 miles an hour. The injuries that were sustained from there. But I just, that's one of my things. I think, other than that, the equipment section looks really good. I mean, it's right up there with everything in the state of Illinois.
I think that element warrants discussion myself. I mean, it's so, in my opinion, is a public safety concern. The well-being of the, the driver and or passengers that are on any of these vehicles or types of vehicles. Anything else? If not, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, so carried. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.